Not every love story ends when the camera's cut. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 Thai BL stars whose truth didn't stay in the script. They've faced whispers, online storms, and industry silence, but still chose to live with softness, pride, and power. Some came out, some didn't need to. All of them showed us that authenticity can survive fame and make it worth chasing. If you believe real love belongs off-screen too, hit subscribe now. The stories you're about to hear might change how you see your favorite stars, and maybe even yourself. 1. Nattawin, the velvet storm who refused to fade. There's something cinematic about Nattawin before he even speaks. A velvet storm wrapped in a tailored suit. In Kinporsche, he didn't just play a mafia lover. He redefined what Thai masculinity could feel like. Soft-spoken but dangerous, tender yet magnetic. Fans swooned over every breathless stare, every smirk that lingered just a second too long. But behind the perfectly shot scenes and red carpet charm, Oppo was walking a more complex path, one filled with coded questions, whispered speculation, and the quiet war between fame and truth. Oppo never labeled himself, and perhaps that was the most radical thing he could do. In a space where many stars choose silence, he chose ambiguity, but not to hide. Instead, he leaned into openness without explanation. When asked about love, he didn't draw a line. He let his heart speak, gently, boldly. And when the Mile Oppo ship grew into a wildfire, Oppo didn't pour water. He offered fuel in the form of glances, gestures, and moments that felt too real to be scripted. It wasn't without risk. In a culture that still fences in queer love as fiction, fans questioned, is this real? Are they allowed? Oppo answered by simply existing, unapologetically, without denial, without confirmation. His refusal to correct the narrative became a defiant embrace of all possibilities. For many, that was more powerful than a label ever could be. Have you ever met someone who told you a story just by being? Oppo does that. He doesn't shout his truth. He lives it, frame by frame, pause by breath. If his quiet courage makes you feel seen, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe in stars who shine without needing to explain why, hit subscribe. There's more truth where that came from. 2. Krit, the heartbeat between the lines. When Krit stepped into I Told Sunset About You, something shifted. It wasn't just his voice or his gaze, it was the emotional gravity he brought, pulling audiences in like a tide. He made teenage longing feel sacred. Every glance, every hesitation, every tear, authentic to the point of aching. And as viewers fell for his character, they began to sense. This wasn't just acting. This was lived experience wearing a script like a second skin. Off camera, Krit shattered expectations. He wore makeup because he liked it. He dressed fluidly because it felt right. And when asked about his sexuality, he didn't box himself in. I love who I love, he said. For fans raised on idols who hide, this was revolutionary. But with courage came backlash. He faced whispers that he was too feminine, too open, too much. Still, he never flinched. Instead of dodging the spotlight, PP used it. He became a beacon. Not because he said, "I'm gay" on a press release, but because he lived a truth so honest, no label could contain it. In his interviews, his fashion, his trembling voice. During live songs, PP wasn't performing. He was showing, feeling, offering himself, flaws and all. For a generation caught between binaries, Krit didn't just represent them, he freed them. He reminded everyone that identity isn't a costume, it's a heartbeat. If his bravery ever helped you exhale a little softer, leave a comment. And if his story reminds you that real stars pulse from within, tap subscribe. The world needs more hearts like his. 3. Billkin, the star who gave boys their first yes. Some actors play love stories. Billkin gave us a love permission slip. When I Told Sunset About You aired, Thai BL had already exploded, but Billkin brought something quieter, rarer. Dignity. In the role of Te, he embodied the ache of first love not as scandal, but as something sacred. He didn't overperform. He felt. And in doing so, he gave a generation of queer teens something they hadn't seen before. Themselves, treated with care. What made it even more powerful? Billkin wasn't gay, or so he said, or didn't say. And maybe that's the point. He refused to put up walls. When asked about labels, he deflected with warmth and left doors wide open. Some said he was playing it safe. Others knew better. He was playing it true. His closeness with Krit, on screen and off, sparked fan wars, speculation, and endless rewatches. But Billkin never exploited it. He walked the line between performance and reality with grace, letting people see only what felt honest. Off-screen, he advocated for gender fluidity, supported LGBTQ+ charities, and wore fashion that blurred every line. He didn't just act in a queer story, he stood for it, even when he didn't have to. That's real allyship. That's leadership. How rare is it to see someone use their fame not to dodge controversy, but to protect tenderness? Billkin did. Not with headlines, but with heart. And for every viewer who watched Tay say, "I like you," and finally whispered, "Me too," to their own reflection, that moment belongs to him. If Billkin helped you see love as something worth saying out loud, say it here. And if you believe straight-presenting allies can move mountains just by standing with us, smash that subscribe. The world needs more quiet revolutions. 4. Fourth Nattawat. The boy who refused to dim his light. In another timeline, Fourth Nattawat would have been told to tone it down. The smile? Too bright. The voice? Too soft. The gestures? Too expressive. Lucky for us, Fourth never lived in that timeline. He built his own, and it glows in full color. As a rising BL star, Fourth burst onto the scene like a firework wrapped in sunshine. His charm was effortless, his talent undeniable, and his chemistry with Gemini Norawit? Electric. But what made fans fall harder wasn't a scene. It was his unapologetic joy. Fourth didn't hide behind fan service, he offered sincerity. He didn't flinch at queer roles or soften his flamboyance. He met every rumor, every side-eye, every whispered, "Is he?" with a smile that said, "And what if I am?" While other actors danced around speculation, Fourth waltzed through it. Interviews showed him lovingly teasing Gemini, wearing bold fashion, and speaking about love without fear or coded language. Though he hasn't explicitly come out, his openness has become a lighthouse for teens afraid to take up space. He doesn't just act in queer stories, he lives like one. Of course, being that visible has a cost. Trolls tried to mock him. Critics called him too much. But Fourth just laughed, posted another glitter-drenched selfie, and kept on shining. Because somewhere out there, a kid who thought they were too much needed to see someone like him being exactly enough. If Fourth's confidence has ever helped you stop apologizing for your light, drop a comment. And if you're ready to celebrate stars who don't just fit the mold but break it wide open, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. This is the pride we've been waiting for. 5. Gemini Norawit. The soft rebel who dared to be intimate. Gemini Norawit wasn't supposed to feel this real. In a world where rising stars are trained to smile, pose, and disappear behind PR glass, Gemini cracked the surface. At first, he was all polish. Perfect smile, perfect skin, perfect posture. But then the camera rolled and something electric leaked through. Intimacy. Not the loud kind, the quiet sort that makes your breath hitch and your heart lean forward. In My School President, Gemini didn't just play a boy in love, he made it feel like love had finally learned to speak Thai. His every glance toward 4th Nattawat felt too specific to be scripted, too vulnerable to be fake. Fans clocked it. So did critics. And when the shipping began, Gemini didn't flinch. He leaned in, smirking at interviews, letting the chemistry burn without apology. He's never labeled himself, and maybe he never will. But what Gemini has done is show that masculinity doesn't lose power when paired with softness. It becomes irresistible. In press tours, fan meets, and TikToks that melt timelines, Gemini walks a line between playful and profound. He wears his heart just close enough to the surface that we believe it's real. Some say it's all fan service, but fan service doesn't tremble. It doesn't glow this honestly. Gemini's affection, his protectiveness over 4th, the way he looks like he's falling just a little too hard for someone he isn't dating, that's not acting. That's courage without a press release. Has Gemini ever made you feel seen in your own softness? Tell us. And if you believe in love that isn't afraid to flirt with the truth, subscribe. The next generation is watching, and Gemini just handed them a mirror. 6. Phakphum. The thunder that walked in quiet mile doesn't enter a room. He shifts the air. There's a stillness to Phakphum that doesn't beg attention, it demands it. In Kinporsche, he became the archetype. Cold, calculating, devastatingly composed. But off-screen? That's where things get louder because Miley, the man, refuses to live quietly. He never rushed to define himself. Didn't need to. The way he holds Oppo's gaze, the way his voice softens around his name, the way they move together like gravity, none of it asks for permission. It just is. And for fans starved of real-world queer tenderness, Miles' refusal to perform straightness felt like a crack in the matrix. He isn't loud about it. He doesn't post declarations. But silence can be powerful too, especially when it's filled with knowing glances, shared smiles, and an emotional fluency that says, "I see you," without a word. In a world of posturing, Milo makes mystery feel sacred. And when he does speak about fluidity, about love, about refusing to limit the heart to gender, he speaks like a man who knows the cost of freedom and pays it gladly. There are people who hide behind roles, and then there are those who blur the line so fully you forget there ever was one. Mile did that, and every fan who's watched Kinporsche wondering if what they saw was real, you already know the answer. Real doesn't always shout. Sometimes it wears a ring and doesn't explain. If Miles' quiet defiance ever gave you strength, write it down below. And if you're here for stars who don't just light the screen but break its fourth wall, subscribe. Pride isn't always neon. Sometimes it's black velvet with a heartbeat. 7. Mix Sahaphap. When softness became a question before a tale of 1,000 stars, Mix Sahaphap was a medical student with a smile that didn't know how to lie. He entered the BL scene like a breeze, gentle, unforced, effortlessly warm. But what fans didn't see behind that easy laughter was a quiet storm building. From the start, people talked. Too delicate, too close to earth, too natural on screen to be just acting. The rumors were subtle at first, then louder. In interviews, Mix was asked carefully coded questions. Was he like his character? Did the chemistry with Earth go beyond the script? He answered with tact, sometimes with silence, sometimes with a wink. He didn't confirm. didn't deny, just kept being exactly who he was. That in itself was radical. In a culture still cautious around queerness, Mix leaned into roles that required vulnerability, and he didn't just play romance, he let himself be seen. Fans felt it. They cried not just for the characters, but for the honesty he brought to each scene. His voice, often shaky during emotional lines, wasn't weak. It was real. And that's what made people hold their breath. Even off-screen, his bond with Earth Pirapat felt tender, lived in, unforced. Were they more than co-stars? Maybe. But maybe it wasn't the point. What mattered was how much care Mix showed, how much of himself he allowed the public to witness without retreating behind a brand. He's never had to say the words. His career has become a kind of quiet activism, a gentle rebellion against everything that says softness must be hidden. If Mix ever helped you feel like your tenderness is a strength, not a flaw, drop a comment. And if his presence brings you peace in a world full of noise, subscribe. Some revolutions start in a whisper. 8. Earth Pirapat, the actor who let the world watch him. Hurt Earth Pirapat was never just a romantic lead, he was a mirror. In every role, he reflected not just love, but heartbreak. And off-screen, he let us see something few stars ever do. Grief. In 2022, Earth lost his mother. He didn't run from the pain. He walked through it, publicly, with raw honesty. He showed up to interviews with swollen eyes. He performed with a tremble in his voice. And instead of hiding, he let fans hold him. That kind of openness isn't common in Thai celebrity culture. But Earth made it look brave. Then there was Mix. The closeness between them was undeniable. So natural it felt like home. The fan base saw it, cherished it, and then questioned it. Were they real? Were they just acting? Earth never confirmed. But he never pushed the rumors away either. He let them sit, let them breathe, let the fans decide for themselves. In an industry that often rewards distance, Earth chose vulnerability, even when it hurt. Even when trolls questioned his masculinity. He wore soft colors, shared personal losses, cried on stage, and still stood tall. And fans, especially queer fans, saw something sacred in that. A man allowed to feel, a man allowed to be. He may never come out, or maybe he already has, in the way he loves openly, hurts publicly, and never pretends to be untouchable. If Earth's emotional honesty has ever made you feel less alone, tell us. And if you believe in stars who don't fake their strength, hit subscribe. Because sometimes the most courageous thing is to break and let people see you heal. 9. Gun Atthaphan, the truth hidden in plain sight. Gun Atthaphan has been on screen since childhood. He grew up under the lights, learning how to cry on cue, smile through pressure, and carry scripts that often didn't make space for someone like him. And somewhere along the way, between child star and cultural icon, Gun stopped pretending. He never made a grand coming out post, never declared anything. But Gun Atthaphan didn't need to. He lived it. He showed up in lace, in eyeliner, in clothes that made gender bend, not break. He hugged boys tightly, looked at them tenderly, and posted it all online without flinching. He joked, he teased, he played into the fan service, and then passed it. Because with Gun, there was always that question. What if this isn't for the cameras? People whispered, was he gay? Was he just fearless? Was this a strategy or something more sacred? But while others speculated, Gun just kept going, choosing roles that challenged gender norms, embracing emotional vulnerability, and always showing up authentically. even when that meant being misunderstood. There were costs. He's been mocked, doubted, reduced to the sassy sidekick label too many times. But that's the industry's limitation, not his. Because when you watch Gunn act, something shifts. His performances are messy, raw, unfiltered. He doesn't just play feelings, he bleeds them. And that honesty has made countless young fans feel less alone in their own contradictions. If Gunn ever made you feel seen in your softness, your strangeness, your in-betweenness, let him know below. And if his truth, spoken or not, helped you shape your own, hit subscribe. Some of the bravest voices are the ones who speak with their lives, not their labels. 10. Off Jumpol, the one who chose love over image. There's a reason Off Jumpol has remained one of Thailand's most beloved actors. It's not just his comedy timing or his romantic leads, it's his consistency, his loyalty, and the way he's chosen love over optics again and again. For years, Off and Gunn have been inseparable, on screen, on stage, in life. Their chemistry was too real, too easy, too tender to fake. And when fans started to ship them, Off didn't back away. He leaned in, not as a marketing tool, but as someone who genuinely cared. He posted photos that felt like postcards from a shared life, hugged Gunn like someone he never had to hide, gave interviews filled with subtext, with softness, with unspoken truths. Still, he never confirmed, never labeled. Maybe he didn't have to, because Off Jumpol's power lies in what he refuses to compromise. While many actors carefully curate distance to maintain fan fantasies, Off let people feel close, even if that closeness came with rumors, even if it meant people questioning his identity. And through it all, he stayed the same, open, grounded, and always reaching back when fans reached out. There's something sacred about an actor who doesn't try to erase their tenderness, who isn't afraid to be caught caring. Off made it okay for a leading man to be soft, attached, emotionally available, and in a culture where queer fans are used to being erased, that matters. If Off's quiet loyalty ever restored your faith and connection, leave a comment. And if you believe real masculinity can hold love in both hands and never drop it, subscribe. Some stories don't need confirmation. The truth is already there, beating between frames. Which story stayed with you? Which moment made you feel seen? Drop a rainbow if any of these journeys helped you breathe a little deeper. And tell us, whose story should we spotlight next? A rumored couple? A quiet hero? A name no one dares say out loud? If truth matters to you, hit subscribe. We'll keep chasing it, one heartbeat at a time. This is Silent Fame, where the stories don't just shimmer. They speak.